In this video, you're going to learn how to network in the music industry as a film composer, or to be more accurate, how to network in the film industry as a composer. These 9 tips are going to give you more confidence, more results, and are going to massively improve nearly all your relationships, professional or otherwise. By the end of the video, you'll have a whole new outlook on how to network as a film composer. Networking is one of those topics that makes most people groan. Almost everyone sees it as a necessary evil, a part of the job that no one likes but everyone has to do. And people who say they love it are always treated with skepticism and maybe a little envy. But it doesn't have to be that way. If you can just reframe your approach to networking, you'll find that it can actually become enjoyable. And with a few tactics that I'll reveal in this video, you'll be able to confidently approach almost any networking opportunity. Okay, let's get started. Number 1, practice confidence. Who are you more likely to want to have a conversation with? The person mumbling and staring at their feet, or the person smiling and looking you in the eye? For most people, it's the latter. When you appear confident, you give off a better vibe and generally come across as more capable and trustworthy. But for many of us, social situations can be scary or intimidating, particularly if we're naturally quite introverted. So how do we overcome that? I won't lie, there's no secret that will instantly remove all of your social anxiety. But honestly, the best thing you can do is to fake it till you make it. Brendon Burchard, the world's leading high-performance coach, uses what he calls a doorway trigger to remind him how to act when he enters a room. The basic idea is that whenever you step through a doorway, you use that as an opportunity to think about who you want to be when you enter the room. Simply tell yourself to stand tall, be confident, and to smile, and you'll exude confidence straight away. Do that every time you enter a room, and confidence will quickly become a habit. And I have some more tips on habits coming up. I also have one simple sentence that can help you with confidence. Here it is. The vast majority of people are happy to be approached. It might not feel that way sometimes. We might think of ourselves as an inconvenience to others, but that's just not true. Providing you're focused on building relationships and not just trying to use people to get work. Sure, you'll inevitably bump into someone someday who doesn't want to talk to you, but that's okay. Just move on to the next person. And finally, being prepared is a massive confidence booster. So prepare and practice. Think about what you'll say when people ask, "What do you do?" And literally practice out loud your response. Think of it like practicing your elevator pitch. How can you sum yourself up in as clear and concise a way as possible? And here's a top tip. Practice ending your summary with a question so that you immediately keep the conversation going. You can also practice how you'll bring up some of your talking points, which we'll cover later in this video. The more you practice, the more natural this stuff will feel because it will become a habit. Speaking of habits, tip number 2, become a habitual networker. That which we persist in doing becomes easier to do, not that the nature of the thing has changed, but that our power to do has increased. That's from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it sums up why you want to make networking habitual. In short, the more you do it, the easier it becomes and the better you get at it. And what do I mean by habitual networking? Essentially, use any and every opportunity you can to chat and make friends. In other words, to network. Building your confidence and becoming better at networking is one reason you should do this, but there's another reason why networking habitually is important, and that is that you never know where your next project is going to come from. If you're a listener of the Soundtrack.Academy podcast, you'll have heard so many different stories about how people got started and where people find projects. And you'll know that a lot of work comes not from your typical networking or film industry events, but actually from random or chance encounters. How do you know that the person standing behind you at Starbucks isn't the next Steven Spielberg? You don't. Now, how do you actually make networking a habit? It's easy. Just use each and every opportunity that you see to strike up a conversation. Standing in line somewhere, chat with the person next to you. At the play park with your kids, chat to the other parents. Maybe you meet customers or clients as part of your day job. Take an interest in them and get talking. You wouldn't believe how many projects I found thanks to my part-time job at Blockbusters when I was a student. People freak out about how to start a conversation, but it's honestly as simple as saying, "Hi, how's it going?" Number 3, be proactive. The truth is that people aren't going to magically present themselves to you. It's up to you to find or create opportunities to meet people and to actually reach out. Be proactive in finding places to meet filmmakers. Search for local filmmaking groups or events. Visit filmmaker hotspots and check the notice boards. Or if you're feeling like a high achiever, you could even create an event for filmmakers. Of course, this applies to offline and online places. Seek opportunities to meet people wherever you can. Once you've found the opportunities, make sure you're prepared. Most events have a Facebook events page where you can see who's attending or interested. Scan the list and note down anyone you're interested in meeting: directors, film editors, producers, etc. That way, you can focus on meeting the right people and you avoid spending the whole time talking with people that can't actually hire or refer you. But how do you approach those people without looking like a stalker? Well, two of the easiest ways are, firstly, looking for mutual friends who might also be attending and could introduce you, or who might be able to put you in touch before the event. And secondly, find and follow their professional or public social media channels like Twitter, Instagram, or their public Facebook page, not their profile, and engage with them. Like and comment on their posts. Then, when you see them in person, you have your intro. Hey, I think I follow you on Instagram. Bob, right? This touches on another important part of proactivity: being involved in the right groups. Again, either online or offline. When you're joining filmmaker groups, actually make an effort to engage, comment, help out wherever you can. Not just on music stuff either, but on absolutely anything. Richard Kraft, agent and manager to some of the most famous composers in the world, often suggests that composers work on films in whatever capacity they can, just to be around the environment and the process. Tip number 4, set your expectations. Going in with the wrong expectations causes all kinds of problems, and that's true for so many aspects in life. A few years ago, my wife and I booked a road trip in America and had arranged to hire a Ford Mustang or similar as a rental car. Our expectations were set: a kick-ass rear-wheel drive sports car or similar. So when we got to the hire station, what did they give us? A Volkswagen Beetle. Now, I've nothing against the Beetle, but it didn't exactly meet my expectations of a kick-ass rear-wheel drive sports car. Cue the disappointment. The same thing can happen in your networking. If you go in expecting to come out with a project, you're going to be disappointed. But if your aim is to simply meet new people and make new friends, you have better chances of coming away satisfied. So decide what you want to come away with from each event or encounter and be realistic about those expectations. Don't expect to get anything. Expect to give and to be helpful, and you'll not only give yourself a much better chance of actually finding projects further down the line, but you'll also better meet your own expectations. Number 5, prepare your talking points. Having a few key topics to talk about not only helps keep the conversation flowing, but can also make sure you're seen as interesting, and it can help with your credibility. But there are a couple of things to remember when it comes to finding stuff to talk about. Firstly, remember who you're talking to. Hopefully not composers, but filmmakers. Remember that your talking points should be stuff that interests them, not you. Because if they're interested in a topic, then they'll start talking, and that's your goal. People who are memorable and interesting aren't often the people that talk the most, they're the people that listen the most. We'll explore that a little more in just a moment. Secondly, and it should go without saying, but avoid big controversial topics. The people you're meeting are strangers to begin with, so you have no idea about their beliefs or who they might know. The absolute best kind of talking points to have ready are ones that cross over between film and music. That way you're able to show that you know about your industry while also engaging the people you're talking with. Number 6, win friends and influence people. Okay, so I'm cheating a little bit here because this tip is more of a recommendation. If you really want to learn the art of conversation, go and read Dale Carnegie's classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's one of those books that will feed into almost every aspect of your life, so it's well worth a read. Now, I couldn't tell you to go and read a book without giving you some actionable tips, so here are a few of the key takeaways. Firstly, the basics. No criticism or negativity. Give honest and genuine appreciation of people and what they say or do, and always try to see things from their perspective. What do they want to talk about, or how would they feel about something? And secondly, how to be likable. This comes in 6 parts. 1. Be genuinely interested in people. This chapter features one of my all-time favorite quotes. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Enough said. 2. Smile. And in general, bring positive energy. Number 3. Remember people and details. More on how to do that coming up, but but focus on learning and remembering names. The person's own name is the sweetest sound in the world to them. 4. Listen and encourage people to talk about themselves. The way to be interesting and memorable is to get people to open up about themselves. When people feel like they've had a great conversation, it's because they feel like they've been able to fully open up. 5. Focus on their interests. Filmmakers don't want to talk about music, they want to talk about film or maybe something else entirely. Figure out what they want to talk about and get them talking. And 6, make them feel important. Massage their ego and you'll be instantly liked. That doesn't mean brown-nosing, it just means to offer them respect. Don't interrupt or belittle their thoughts and opinions. Just listen and engage. That's one section of the book in brief, but the stories and examples that Carnegie tells really bring those points to life beautifully. So go and read it. Tip number 7, be helpful. If you've read my Landing Film Scoring Projects ebook, you'll know my motto when it comes to finding projects. Make friends, be helpful, be memorable. If you've not read the book, there's a link below where you can download it for free. Being helpful is one of the fastest and easiest ways to be memorable. And if you're memorable, you'll be the first person someone thinks of when they need a composer. And there are numerous ways that you can help someone. First up, you can give recommendations. From movie recommendations to your favorite restaurant, giving a good recommendation can really help people remember you, providing your recommendation is actually good. Remember what we said earlier, focus on them. If they've been talking about how much they love action movies and thrillers, your recommendation of a slow, gritty drama is going to go down like a lead balloon and actually serves the opposite purpose than you need it to. It makes them trust you less because, in their opinion, you have bad taste. So before you recommend anything, make sure you really know it's the right recommendation for them. Secondly, you can connect people. This is a brilliant way to be helpful and to strengthen your network. If you introduce 2 people and they hit it off, they both have you to thank. And if those 2 people go on to work together, you can bet you'll be brought along for the ride. Plus, they might return the favor later and introduce you to someone else, and so your network grows. And finally, if you're engaging in groups online, whenever filmmakers need help, give it if it's within your power. Say they need someone on set and it's local to you. Do it, regardless of whether it has anything to do with music. If you're capable, help. A quick side point, don't give unsolicited advice. You might think you're being helpful by giving advice, but people often don't want or like advice unless they've specifically asked for it. So you trying to be helpful could actually just be irritating. Number 8, don't rely on your memory. I used to think I had a really good memory for names and faces. Then an old school friend shared a picture of my school year group and I realized I could barely remember anyone. And that's a problem. Remember how we said to make people feel important? Well, forgetting who someone is a surefire way to make them feel unimportant. Remembering details about people makes them feel important, shows that you're interested and that you care, and in turn makes you more memorable and likable. There's a few strategies you can use to remember people. When someone first gives you their name, make sure you've heard it properly and repeat it back to them. Then repeat it a few times either in your head or slip it into the conversation out loud a few times. Then, if you exchange business cards, scribble a few details about them on the back of their card, like where you met and what you know about them, maybe even a description of them. Actually, I know one composer who has a photo and a 3-word description of himself printed on his business card, which I think is a great idea. Obviously, don't take notes while you're standing with them. You'll look like a reporter conducting an interview. Another top tip with business cards is to get business cards, don't give them. Then you're in charge of the follow-up. And more on that in just a minute. The problem with business cards, though, is that they go missing and you can't carry everyone's card around with you all the time just in case you bump into them again. So my personal favorite way of remembering details is to add them as a note attached to the person in my phone's contacts app. Although I might forget a name, I can usually remember where I met someone or where I know them from. So if I spot someone from across the room, I can quickly search for the venue or event name in my app. A list of contacts will pop up, and that's usually enough to remind me of their name. And then in the notes, I might have a few pointers on our last conversation, what projects they were working on, who they know, etc. And finally, tip number 9, follow up and keep in touch. Actually meeting people is only the first step. After you meet them, you then need to work super hard on deepening your relationship with them. If you hadn't already noticed, you have to play the long game. Some people you meet might have projects they're working on right now, and you hit it off and start working with them straight away. Other people you'll keep in contact with, and someday, a few years down the line, they have a project for you. Others you might never work with directly, but they'll introduce you to someone else who you'll work with someday. It all depends. With all of the people you meet, your goal is to make sure you're the first person they think of when they think of a composer. And that's not by continuously shoving your music down their throat, but by building strong and lasting relationships, by helping and by giving. So after you've reached out to someone in person or online, keep in touch. If you gave them a recommendation, follow up with a link to it. If you talked about something in particular, send them something related. Like, I saw this and thought of you. Do whatever you need to do to keep in touch and deepen the relationship. Just don't be pushy. So there you have it. 9 tips on becoming a better networker. If you put these strategies into action, you'll soon find that you're building more and better relationships and the projects will follow. If this video has given you more confidence for your next networking opportunity, then hit the subscribe button and notification bell. And if you want more film scoring and industry advice, head on over to soundtrack.academy and subscribe to my free newsletter. That's where you'll find all my best advice. Now it's over to you. Which tip from this video are you going to use the next time you're networking? Let me know in the comments.